So on every single driving test, you're going to get given one reverse maneuver. So this is just a quick video with a roundup of all the maneuvers that you might get. If you want a more in-depth explanation of each maneuver, then check out the other videos on my channel and make sure you subscribe as well. So although there are 4 reverse maneuvers to choose from, you will only get one of them on your test. And depending on what the examiner has done before on their previous tests, that's how they decide which one you get. So most people will pray for the right reverse because that's the easiest one for most people. The examiner will decide based on what they've done before and also based on what's available for them at the time. How do they mark their reverse maneuvers? You're going to be marked on 2 main things. So if you start off with the control element, when it comes to control, they're marking whether you can finish the maneuver and also whether you have to make any sort of adjustments and how are you controlling the vehicle generally. So if you can't finish the maneuver for whatever reason, maybe you can't figure out how to finish it or how to get the car parked in a certain way, then that's going to be classed as a serious for control. You will also get a minor for control if you have to make any adjustments, which I'll explain more about with each individual maneuver. Now, when it comes to observation, you're going to be marked on how you're looking around. So on every maneuver that you're doing, and when you're reversing especially, you have to be making sure that you're looking around and making sure that it's safe. If you don't look around, you will get a serious fault for this. So let's start with the one that everyone really prays for, which is the right reverse. Now this one is quite controversial when it was first introduced because it involves you having to drive against oncoming traffic potentially, and then driving onto the wrong side of the road and stopping on the wrong side, on the right hand side. And some examiners didn't really feel like this was safe. They even went on strike over it, but eventually they went back to work and now it's just part of the test. So when you're driving along, the examiner will say something like, when it's safe, I would like you to pull over on the right hand side. So what this means is, so first of all, identify a safe place on the right and then check your mirrors and signal. And then when it's safe, go over to the right hand side. The idea of this maneuver is to pull up on the right hand side safely, and then the next step would be to reverse back 2 car lengths, keeping reasonably close to the pavement. Even though it's easier than the other maneuvers for a lot of people, people still fail for this because either they don't look around properly enough or they fail to stop for people that are going past them. Make sure that you've looked around and it's safe before you reverse. And then as you're reversing as well, make sure you're looking around. If there are people next to you or the road users nearby, you stop the car, look around again, and then reverse back. You are allowed to make adjustments on this. You can go forward if you find yourself getting too close to the pavement or too far away from the curb. You're allowed to go forward, but remember, this is going to get you a minor fault because you've had to make a correction. Once you've finished the maneuver, the next thing you have to do is drive on again. So because you're driving from the right hand side, you want to make sure you're checking over your right shoulder first and then finishing over your left shoulder before you move off, and wait for any oncoming traffic, any cars that are coming from behind as well before coming out. Make sure it's completely safe and then drive straight to the left and then you're done. The bay park can be done either reverse or forward. You're not going to get asked to do 2 of them. They'll either ask you to do the reverse one or the forward one. So let's start off with the reverse one. Sometimes you might start this when the test is just beginning. So you might start with your car inside a bay already. Then you have to come out and then choose a bay to reverse into. Or you might start off somewhere where you're already about to finish the test or you're halfway through the test. As long as you can get the car into any bay with your 4 wheels inside a bay, it doesn't really matter how you do it. Now, there are lots of different ways of doing this. So check out this video that I made, which shows you using reference point and easy way to do it. And then we've got the forward bay park, which instead of reversing into the bay, you're going to drive forward into a parking bay. The key to this is sticking far away from the side that you want to park towards. So let's say you want to park towards the right hand side. You start off on the left and then swing your car in to the right. I've made a full video on this, so which you can check out using the link just above there. So make sure you check it out if you want a detailed explanation how to do it. But again, you're going to be marked on observation and control. And the key is to look around loads as you're doing this and also to finish inside the bay. You are allowed to correct it if you are outside the bay, but when you do correct it, you're going to get a minor fault. And you will get a serious fault if you correct it a lot of times and it still hasn't worked, or you don't realize that you're outside of the bay and then you finish the maneuver and the examiner has to check to make sure that it's in, and then they find out that it's out. You will fail for that as well. So make sure before you finish that you've actually checked to make sure your car is inside the bay. If it's not, correct it so that you can pass. On the forward bay park, you always get asked to reverse out again after you finished. Sometimes car parks can seem really quiet and empty. This can make you feel like, oh, I don't need to look around because it's safe. Don't do that. Make sure you're checking everywhere before you come out of the bay, and then once you're going forward again, check around to make sure that there's no one overtaking you. And if you do it that way, you should be fine. Now, the parallel park is probably the one that most people dread, and it shouldn't be so because it's not that difficult once you practiced it a few times. And once you understand that if you want the car to go left, you turn left. If you want the car to go right, you go right. I know it sounds really simple, but honestly, once you do a bit more driving, you realize, wait, why was I struggling with this? It's as simple as that. Now, there are lots of different ways to do a parallel park. If you check out this video, it'll show you step by step how to do it. And unlike parking in real life, where you're going to be parking in between two cars most of the time, on your test, you're going to be parking just behind one car. And you have lots of room to play with as well. So the examiner will say something like, I'd like you to pull up beside that car there and then reverse into the space behind it, finishing anywhere within 2 car lengths. So this is the bit that gets people a bit confused sometimes. When they say anywhere within 2 car lengths, people think you have to park 2 car lengths away. Doesn't mean that. It means park anywhere. You can park 1 car length away, 2 car lengths away, 1.5 car lengths away. That's as long as you're not using 3 car lengths or 2.5 car lengths. Because you have 2 car lengths to play with, it's really easy to do. You have lots of room, way more room than the reverse bay park or the forward bay park. Ideally, you want to reverse back in, and then once you get to the curb, you stop. If you have to make any adjustments because you got too close to the curb or because your car's too wide, you will get a minor fault for that. Where you're going to get serious faults for control is if you mount the curb or if you can't figure out how to do the parallel park. My suggestion for you is do not give up. Too many people give up too soon. When all they have to do is something really simple like going forward a tiny bit and they would have finished the maneuver, they just think, oh, this is not working, so I'm just going to give up now and stop. Do not do that. So many times you can easily adjust it and then go into pass and have your license. Unless the examiner said to you, okay, that's fine, let's carry on now. Just keep trying until you've done it and it's going to be okay. So I know some of you might be thinking, oh, what about the emergency stop? That doesn't really count as one of the maneuvers. That's something separate and they don't always do the emergency stop, but you will definitely get one of those 4 maneuvers I just explained. So to recap, make sure you're looking around properly on all the maneuvers. Do not give up when you're making any adjustments until the examiner has told you that it's enough now. And my best advice when you're learning to drive is practice failing it, practice getting it wrong. Because that way, when it goes wrong on the test, you know how to correct it. A lot of people go into the test just using reference points, and then when that goes wrong, they completely blank out. But if you practice getting it wrong, if you practice getting it a bit out of the bay and then know how to correct it on your test day, if that happens, it's going to be less stressful and then you can outdo it and pass your test. Thank you so much for watching this video. I wish you all the best on your tests. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this. We've got way more coming. If you have any suggestions for videos, leave them in the comments below and we'll do those. So guys, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.